You are listening to the On Purpose Podcast, your guide to living a more purposeful life. Welcome to year 3 On Purpose Podcast, community episode 154. And I'm not going to lie, I love having my guest on. I love sharing stories, but man, these are two of my best friends that never even met me that you're going to hear from today. And I'm so excited to introduce Tanner and Nallely Bean. I know them as essentially streaming. So this is actually the first time we sat down and talked, and I can't wait to share their story with you. How are Tanner and Nallely doing today?
We're doing great.
Yes, we are wonderful, enjoying the airstream and the rain. It is raining where we're at.
Oh, we had that a couple days, but I think we're past it now. And for our community, Tanner and Nallely were two of the first Instagram full-time travelers that Andrea and I watched like religiously as we were preparing to go full-time traveling as well. And what I was telling them off air earlier, one of the things that we really connected with and resonated with is they didn't show just highlight videos of travel. Like there was definitely cool places they were, but I also got to watch them talk about being frustrated in small spaces, water pumps not working, like the legit stuff that maybe you don't think of. So I want to, Tanner and Nallely, first off, thank you for the role you've played in our transition.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah, and I can only tell you, like, keep it up, because if that, you reached us, I don't know how many other people you're reaching, but it's definitely a highlight of the day when I see something pop up from you guys and I get to watch, especially like we were talking, Tanner's evolution as the comedic kind of influence there.
I wouldn't go that
far. No. All right. But now. All right. We're ready. We got the formal introductions done. But I got to tell you guys, we don't just jump into the heavy, purposeful content right away on here. Kind of like Tanner doesn't just press brew on his coffee and get an instant cup. Like I watch that guy's coffee videos. It amazes me. I still don't know what all I'm watching or how he makes those cups of coffee, but there's a process, right?
There is a process. Yeah, I just made a cup for a guy at work on Saturday. He's been asking me to make him one, so I took all my coffee gear up there, and he's like, "Oh, this is awesome. This is like a really good cup of coffee, and you did it all by hand."
Yeah. No, I watch it and like you got that little, I don't even know if it's a scale telling you the temperature or the weight. I'm just like, what is going on here?
It's definitely an entire process. His coffee journey has definitely evolved. Both of us, for sure.
Oh, I love it. So kind of like that, like there's a process for us to getting your story out to our community. And we like to start it with a warm up. And I got to tell you, you're the first couple that's been on the show. So that's pretty awesome. So
Great.
Now we're going to think of these warm-up questions as a couple, as Tanner and Nallely together. You guys are stranded on an island and you're getting one food for the rest of your life. What are you going to eat?
Tacos.
I'm going to have to agree.
Yeah, tacos. What kind? Where are we going with this? Tacos are flexible nowadays.
Yeah.
It would have to be something made by her dad.
Oh, wait, but he's not going to be there.
But I mean, if it's, I can have it forever.
Yeah, you can have it. I didn't say who cooked it. You just get it forever.
My dad is an amazing, phenomenal cook, and he cooks for us every time we're around. And Tanner definitely loves his tacos.
All right, that's good to hear.
I can do tacos every night.
Yeah, me too. I tell you what, tacos have definitely grown in their ability to be multifaceted.
That's true.
And they're portable.
Portable. You can take them on the go. You can eat them while you're towing. I mean, they got a lot of options. All right. Now I want to know from each of you, you have a superpower. What would it be and why would you have it?
Oh, that's a good one. That one's tough. Superpower.
I don't know.
I know. We should have thought of this one.
That's all right. That's why it's a warm up. It's a pop quiz. You don't get the answers ahead of time on this one.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I like helping people and I like making people laugh. I like to make people feel welcomed. Because sometimes, like for me, I feel like from the videos you see of me, like I'm kind of nervous at first or whatever. And I know that other people, when they walk into a room, they probably feel nervous too. So it's like, well, hey, I'm nervous. Let's just be nervous together and let's just get this rolling. And then maybe, I don't know if that's a
Yeah.
superpower.
I'd take it. I would take that as a superpower, putting people at ease. I love it. Nallely, what are you going to go with?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Man, I don't know.
All right, you can think on it.
I know. Yeah, this one's really hard for me. I'm not sure what I would say. My Harry Potter nerd self would say being invisible.
Love it.
Just to be the fly on the wall, I guess, every now and then. And I think not to be in like a not to look into like juicy details or anything like that, but also probably because I would also kind of bounce off of Tanner's, that I would try to figure out what I could find in common with someone before speaking to them. Because I think that's where Tanner and I both really do, or that's where Tanner and I are very similar, is that we really do like helping people, and especially the people that I feel like maybe don't get included as enough. And I think I would definitely want to be the fly on the wall, just to find some common ground with someone, and then be able to have a better conversation with them, if that makes sense.
Oh, I love it. And you don't even want to know what I just visualized while you were telling me that. A reel of Nallely is a fly on the wall.
Yeah, that's great. That was great. Yeah. But definitely comes from my Harry Potter nerd there self.
That's awesome. All right, Tanner, Nallely, you're going to sit down with one person for dinner. They could be alive or in our past. Who would it be, and what would you want to learn from them?
These are good. You're keeping us on our toes.
Man, I've been doing this 3 years. This ain't no rookie show, team.
This is amazing.
All right, I'll share this. I've never told the podcast this because I never asked myself these questions while you think of it. If I could do dinner with one person, it would be my grandma Jean, who passed away when my oldest daughter was 5 and my son was 3 months. She barely got to meet him. And what I would want to know from her is she sees my life now, would she be proud?
That's beautiful. That is very beautiful.
So let's move to the next one for you guys while you ponder. What favorite book, either individually or as a couple, and what do you currently read as you're traveling?
I'm not a reader, period.
So this is all Nallely.
Yeah,
Harry Potter.
I learn and watch YouTube videos a lot. So if there's something I want to learn or I'm interested in, like YouTube is like my go-to.
Yeah.
Nice.
Never been a reader. I am definitely the reader in the family. For me, one of my favorite books, I've got tons of them. But The Giver, I would say, that is just a beautifully written book. One that we read, in middle school and high school, but it's always been very profound. But I try to read at least 52 books a year. I don't hit it every year, but I'm always trying and striving to, keep learning and keep educating myself, whether it's for personal growth or other sorts of growth in my life. And reading has always been one of those things that has been with me in my life. So right now, I honestly don't know what book I'm currently reading. I have this thing where I pick up a book and I don't know what it's about. So then I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised on how it goes. I'm reading The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware is what I am currently reading.
Nice. And Tanner, you're talking to another non-reader. I've always prided myself that I literally went from kindergarten through 12th grade public school and never read a book. Like I just always kind of finagle my way through book reports. But I will tell you, nowadays I read quite a bit just because it's, it's something I can do in my Airstream while conserving energy. It doesn't take any of my solar. I don't have to be plugged in.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Matthew McConaughey, I don't know if you guys like him as an actor, but his book is fantastic.
Yeah,
And
we listened to that one on Audible driving back and forth between, what was that little town we stayed in? Mariposa and then Yosemite. So every morning we had an hour drive into the park because we had to stay outside the park.
right.
And we would listen to that book in the morning and then in the evening coming home. And it's like the best book ever.
All right. So you're doing ebooks and stuff. So you're learning there. You're reading still. You're just doing it in a different format.
Yeah, and I'd say, and listening to that book coming from his perspective, it's his story, and his perspective is probably even better than me trying to figure out what he's trying to say.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. He's one of those guys that as you read it, you can kind of just hear him telling you. So it's phenomenal. All right. How you guys feeling? You warmed up? You guys feel good? All right. We're nice and warmed up. All right. I want to know. So now, correct me if I'm wrong here. You guys have been living full time on the road for a little over 5 years.
Yes, we have both lived stationary and nomadic, but yes, it has been 5 years now.
Wow. What led you guys? Because that was, you go 5 years back. That's 2017. That's ahead of the COVID RV explosion. So what led you guys to that lifestyle and kind of pushed you in this direction?
Honestly, I think I at the moment I was in dental hygiene school when we first started learning about traveling and RVing. The first thing that I had looked up was areas to go camping in, just because we needed a place, for us to hang out. So that kind of led me into this rabbit hole of state parks, camping in state parks, which then led to, there's actually these things called national parks, which I had no idea about. And then from national parks to people who visit these national parks. And then from these people who visit national parks on their time off to people who visit national parks full time in RVs. And that blew my mind to know that there was people out there who decided to go against societal norms and live in an RV and go and visit these places. So I brought the idea to Tanner one day, and I don't even know how it went about, but it was like, well, if we want to visit these parks, then we have to see if we even like it first. So we went on a small camping trip in a small state park in Oklahoma. We're originally from Oklahoma. And we slept in a teepee because we had no camping gear. And that was the way we could have an outdoor experience. So this state park had teepees for rent. We rented a teepee for the night, brought in an air mattress because we didn't have anything. So we brought an air mattress in and blankets. And in the middle of the night, the air mattress deflated and we slept on the cold concrete bottom of this teepee. We woke up the next morning and we said, we love this. Let's do more.
We also went for a hike that day, and on our way back, we got poured on. Like, we didn't have a rain jacket or anything.
Yeah.
And we were soaking wet when we got back.
So
mud everywhere.
Did either of you have a background in camping or being outdoorsy?
No, not at all. My dad was a fisherman growing up. He really loved to fish, and he loved animals. So we were always outside, but we had never actually gone camping. So we didn't have an RV growing up. We didn't go on any camping trips. We were, we were out in nature, but never in a camping aspect.
And Tanner, how about you?
I think we only went camping one time as a family. It was me, my dad, and my brother, and we each three had our own little tents. And then there was a little thunderstorm that night, and then I think we all ended up sleeping with my dad that night. So we were all worried and scared, and so we slept with my dad in his tent.
And
but
now
yeah,
what?
We used to fish a lot growing up. We were fishing everywhere, but I think there was only like one actual camping trip.
What about towing a vehicle? Had you ever done that before you made this purchase?
Yeah, I used to work as an electrician. And so we used to have to tow like a lot of trailers around with that. Um, Most of the time I never had to back it up. So it was like we always tried to make sure you pulled in or
Right.
you had a like your way to go forward going out instead of having to back it in. So I really didn't have a whole lot of backing up experience until actual towing the Airstream.
Nice. Now, was the Airstream, was that your guys' first camper? Did you jump right in and go to like the highest level of camper?
Yeah, so
Yes.
we jumped straight into the Airstream, and I mean that was something too we contemplated. Was like, do we want to buy a tiny house, or do we want to buy a travel trailer? If you buy a tiny house, then it's kind of have to stay there, and so we're like, well, let's buy a travel trailer. So I researched travel trailers, and I was like, well, Airstreams tow the best, they hold their best value. So I was like, let's just get an Airstream, and so that's pretty much what we did. There wasn't another brand out there that we were even contemplating thinking about.
Yeah,
did Go ahead, Nallely.
we knew that we wanted to live in it full time. We kind of, that was another thing that we thought of too, was okay, we love camping and we want to visit these parks, but for us it didn't make financial sense to have a trailer sitting at home only being used a couple months out of the year. So we were like, well, let's live in it full time. And then that's when Tanner started doing the research and realized that the best bang for our buck for longevity was going to be an Airstream. So we jumped completely all in and started looking at what type of Airstream we were going to get.
Yeah, no, that's jumping all the way in. I still never forget when Andrea agreed to buy our truck, because we bought our truck and our Airstream from the same couple. They were moving on from camping, and I had never towed anything, never backed anything. I was a city kid. This is all foreign to me. And when she shook hands and gave him a hug and agreed to pay that money, I was like, my stomach was tied in knots. I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much to learn here.
It's a lot. It's a lot to learn. It's definitely a learning curve, and it can be done, but there's a lot of trial and error for sure.
Yeah, and so that leads me to the next question, because I agree it can be done. I have my ideas on how best to do it, but I want to know for you two, what was your biggest fear before you made this jump from, kind of conservative, what everybody else is doing in life, to living life on your terms, is how I like to say it. What was that biggest fear, and how did you guys come to agreement on how to tackle it as a couple?
I would say finances, right? Like, I think that was the scariest part.
Yeah, I think finances was, and buying the Airstream or living in it full time, I feel like wasn't in society, it wasn't normal.
Yeah.
And so we were like the outcast, and I was like, well, what are people going to think about us?
That's true. You're right.
Sure.
Yeah.
So finances and the judgment of others. So what did your family say when you two told them this idea?
Well, we actually kept it secret until the day we got our Airstream and we drove it to their house and announced it to them.
I love it.
Yeah, so we ordered our truck we bought our truck in 2016 the summer, and then shortly after
we stored it at a friend's house in a whole nother town.
Oh wow.
So that nobody would ever see it.
Okay, let me give you a background story.
I love it.
So background story, I was in dental hygiene school, and Tanner and I were married. We were newly married. It was our first year of marriage, but my dental hygiene school was in another town about an hour and a half away. So we were married, but living separately. I lived in one town, he lived in another town. And during this time, we knew that we were wanting to go ahead and purchase an Airstream. And we knew that our truck that we had was not going to be able to pull it. So we decided to buy a new truck. We bought the new truck and ended up storing it where I was living at my friend's house in their backyard. So we bought a brand new truck, and it sat in the backyard of a friend's house for like 6 months,
7 or 8 months.
No one knew about it.
Oh
So
my
we
goodness.
had a brand new truck just hanging out. And then shortly after we purchased the truck, we ordered the Airstream, and still did not tell a soul. We didn't tell anyone that we were doing this. And Tanner's house, his condo in his town, was slowly getting emptied. Little by little, we were selling
selling
things.
pieces.
And so if you would have walked in not knowing any of this, you would have thought we would have been robbed, because there was like no couches, there might have been like a dining room table, but nothing else.
I think even at that point we had just the mattress on the floor.
Yes. It was a very odd situation. And I think a lot of it was because we were scared of what people might think. No one in our area had done this before. No one that we knew had ever lived in an RV like this. I come from immigrant parents, so their desire is for their child to go to college and to have this big career, and I was completely destroying that, in my head. Here I am,
Yeah.
I'm doing something that is completely not stable, or in someone else's eyes not stable, and doing something completely different. And that was definitely a challenge for us, and probably why we kept it secret. And it's like, well, once it's done, and no one can say anything, right?
So whose parents' house did you pull up to first? Was it Tanner's?
Yeah, we pulled up to my parents' house. It was the afternoon, and my parents always take an afternoon nap.
Oh, so you're completely strategically setting them up.
And so we pull up, and then we back it in and park it, and we go inside, and everybody's asleep. So then we had to wait like 2 hours for the big reveal. My brother comes to the house later with his family, and he's like, what's that Airstream parked over there? And then my mom and dad were like, what Airstream? And my brother's like, there's an Airstream parked over at the side of the house over here. And I was like, oh, that's ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our new home.
Yeah.
And they all ran outside to look at it. And
Yeah.
they were like, seriously? And we're like, yeah, we are going to be living in this full time.
And we thought that my parents weren't going to take it well. And my dad was like, that's the best idea ever.
Yes. And turns out my family was also very excited as well. We shortly took it to their house too. And they were very, very excited for us. And I think both of our parents are really proud that we were able to do this. And they're very thankful that we have been able to do this and see all the things that we've done and experienced.
I love it. So what would you tell our community right off that point there, that if they're hesitating to do something for fear of what everybody else thinks, what advice would you give them on how to overcome that?
I think you just have to do it no matter what other people think. If it's going to bring you joy, go for it. And you don't have to have the Airstream. You just go with whatever you can afford. If it's just staying in your truck or something like that to get started, if it, hitting the road's your goal, just go with what you got.
Yeah,
and,
I think
and then go from there.
We do. We try to share that a lot with others, is that yes, we chose an Airstream because that was what we thought was going to be the best fit for us. But for others, we always want them to choose what's correct for them. And if this is what they want, if they want to be able to travel, they want to be able to see these places, then you just have to start with what you have. You don't need all the fancy things. You don't need an Airstream. You don't need, to spend all of this money up front. You can go with what you have and you can make it work until you get to the, position where you can get something that's a little bit more suited for you. I think that scares people a lot. They wait until the perfect timing or the perfect rig or, the perfect finances. But I think it inhibits people from actually doing it. And it, they lose time because there's that fear there that it has to be all perfect and all the stars have to align to be able to do this. And it's truly not like that. You learn as you go. And right now is the best time. If this is what you want, now is the best time to do it.
Oh, I love that so much. And for our listeners out there, maybe full-time camping, RVing lifestyle isn't what you're after, but there is that dream that you think of every night when you lay your head on your pillow and you're not taking steps towards it. Nallely's advice applies to that too, right? There's never a better time to start pursuing dreams than today.
Yeah, we our name is essentially streaming, and one of our little things we say is identify the essential and eliminate the rest. And what that means is you need to identify what is essential to you, what is it in your life that brings you purpose, that brings you joy, and the rest of it doesn't matter.
Yes, fantastic. I love that. That is a great statement. Identify the essential and eliminate the rest. Because I think a lot of times in our lives, tell me what you two think, the essential we usually have, and the rest is what distracts us from enjoying the essential.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel too. We were very, we grew up just like everyone else with this, American concept of more money, more riches, more things. And we were the same way too. And we've realized that, the financial essential isn't as large as we thought it needed to be. We can still gather joy and fun from something that's a lot less, or that's a lot less.
For sure. Absolutely. When did you guys decide that, okay, so now you surprised your family, you're out, you're creating this new life. When did you guys decide you really wanted to go all in on sharing this story, and what kind of fears or hesitations did you face as a couple making that decision?
Well, we started our Instagram pretty early on. We tried YouTube for a little bit, but it just wasn't quite the right fit. We really liked being able to share more authentically, more quickly, I guess, or I guess on Instagram. But I think we both came to the decision of sharing our lives just because we had learned a lot from others, others that, others like Less Drink More Journey or Long Honeymoon that had put their lives out there for others to learn too. And we felt like, if we were going to start this process, why not share it as well and see if it would help others. But it was definitely scary, and it's still scary today to be able to, or it's still scary today to share your life on social media.
Yeah, and I mean, in the beginning too, like we weren't sharing all the time. I mean, she would do a post maybe once a month, didn't even have stories all the time. And then slowly it just picked up and picked up and picked up, and now here we are now.
And how's that been for you, Tanner? Because you're kind of a private guy, right? Like you said earlier, you kind of get nervous walking into places. So how's that been for you coming to terms with sharing all that, to where people like me who are talking to you for the first time today still feel like I already know you beforehand?
I mean, at first, I was always nervous. And I'm still nervous on camera. It's like, she like puts the phone on me and she's like, "Are you not going to say anything?" And I was like, "I didn't know I was supposed to." But yeah.
Yeah, I think he's still nervous, but I think he's getting more comfortable with, I would say he's still nervous, but he's getting more comfortable with us being able to just be ourselves. I think that's another thing that we were very scared of was, okay, if we say something, then, someone's going to be like, "Oh no, that's completely wrong." And then, or, "Oh, these people are crazy because they think this or think that." But I think we've finally found that we just need to be ourselves, and that's not going to, jive with everyone, and that's okay. But we're here to help others, and that's where we want this social media growth to be. This place to be is a place where others feel included and others can learn from us. And the easiest way for us to be able to do that is if we're just ourselves. So yeah, we're gonna say things wrong, and Tanner's gonna get frozen in front of the camera. We're gonna make funny jokes or whatever, but that's who we are, and we can't change that.
No, nor should you. I absolutely love that. What has been the greatest development for you each as an individual and as a couple, embarking on this life where you spend so much time together in such a small place, And a lot of times it is just the two of you. What's been your greatest, I would say, growth as individuals and couples in this lifestyle?
Patience. I feel like we've both grown in patience. You really have to work around each other and communicate really well when you're living in such a tiny space and when you're spending 24/7 together. So you really have to learn how to have patience for the other person, whether it's, they're having a great day and you're not having such a good one, or, you're both, upset with the day. But I think we still have to have patience, whether it's with each other or with things that happen in the rig, because things go wrong all the time. So I think learning to have patience in our relationship and the entire journey that we're on has been really important. And I feel like it is something that we have grown in our marriage too, is in patience.
What do you
Mhm.
What do you
think, Tanner?
Yeah, I think so. Patience, for sure. Um, I'm always worried about tomorrow as well, and Nallely lives in the moment more than I do, and learning to live in the moment instead of worrying about tomorrow all the time is always a little bit better too. Because if you're stressed out about tomorrow, then you can't enjoy today.
Sure. Yeah, I love that. That's true. And that's, and I think a lot of us can take that to heart, right? We have so many good moments around us that we might miss because we're always looking forward to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I do. I gotta tell you guys, I really enjoy about this life is our ability to slow the pace of life down.
Yeah, that's what we like. It's too. It's, we don't like booking campgrounds, which we typically don't stay in book campgrounds anyways. We try to like stay on BLM and
Yeah,
places like that, because it's like we don't want to book a campsite, get to this campsite and not really enjoy it, and then you're like, okay, now I have to stay here for 4 days, but I
yeah,
could have somewhere else. And so that's we prefer to boondock a lot more and find those little epic spots and be like, okay, we like this, let's stay here for 2 weeks, and then we'll find another spot for 2 weeks. And if we end up not liking that BLM site, like, all right, let's move on, let's go somewhere else.
yeah. What would you guys say is your favorite memory that you have pursuing this kind of dream?
The people we've met.
Yeah.
I feel like we have pretty close relationships for the people that we've met. I mean, which is funny. I feel like we have more skews at how I'm going to say it, but just older generation people that we've met that it's like
we've connected
Yeah.
more with. I think the RVing community is very broad in very various aspects. There's tons of people that do it, and they all come from different backgrounds or different age groups. And the people that we've met for some reason have just been a little bit older than us, and we've connected really, really well with them. And I think if we would have been, at home in our own little comfort zone, that we wouldn't have been able to meet other people in different generations and been able to connect with them in the same way as we have now that we've been on the road. And so all of our friends and the people we've met, I feel like has been one of the best memories we have. Our best memories are with those people that we've met on the road.
Yeah.
And we have really strong connections and deep relationships with them. And I think it all has to come down to you only have such a limited amount of time with them. So small talk isn't really a thing. You get down to the, nitty gritty with them pretty quickly, because you've only got so much time with them before we each go on our separate ways.
And you never say goodbye. You always just say, see you later.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that. I think maybe that is why, like when you live in a sticks and brick house or a neighborhood and you say hello to your neighbor so many times, but you don't really get to know them because you're like, oh, I'll talk to him next week, or I'll talk to him next week. When we're out here camping, you're probably not going to see these people again next week. So you actually take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like that's something that we've learned along the way too. Is like if you feel connected to these people, you learn as much as you can about them, and you start to develop these relationships. And it's been 4 days, but you feel like you've known them forever, and you're best friends. And and then 6 months down the road, you get to see them again, and it's like no time has passed because you were able to make those connections really quickly the first time you met.
I feel like we met a ton of people just walking. Like we were always out going on a hike, or we're gonna go walk. I was like, "How are you guys today?" They're like, "We're good." And then it's like,
"We're best friends."
We're best friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta tell you, Tanner, I want to know because I saw your reel. I think it was late last week. It was a fantastic, great job doing this one. It really told a fantastic story. But it was when Tanner gets excited seeing new campers pull in, and he wants to go out and greet them.
Oh yeah, it's I don't know. It's like I'm like a little puppy when new people come, and maybe that's the thing. It's like where I told you I was like I want to make sure that people feel welcomed. People are coming in. It's like, hey, I want to go meet them, say hi, and it's like she's like, hey, you need to. They're trying to set up right now. You need to let them set up, and then once they're done, then you can go say hi.
Yeah.
You don't like it when people come in when you're trying to set up, so just go let them set up, and then you can go say hi.
It is. I'm laughing at that because we have the exact same conversation in our Airstream. I'm literally like, "Oh, what do they got? Oh, look at that! Oh, let me go over and talk to them." And Andrew's like, "Leave them alone." As a matter of fact, yesterday, we had some people in a remodeled, a renovated British World War II ambulance camper.
Wow.
Super awesome. And I'm sitting there and I'm having coffee looking, and we're just watching them. And Andrew's like, okay, now go make friends with them. Like she lets me out to go make new friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I relate to that very much.
And I'll tell you that the funniest part to me was they were like the last ones to come into the camp area the night before. They got in pretty late. And it's a few older folks camping near us as well. So I go out and I start making friends. And literally within my 3 minutes of me talking there, everybody from all the campers is over there looking with me. But like I'm the designated friend maker first.
Yeah, you're the leader.
Because I think that's another thing too. Yeah, you get stuck in this, and even in your little circle, you get stuck in your little comfort zone in RV boondocking sites or campgrounds. And if you don't see someone else like going out and talking to someone else, then no one else does it either. But if you initiate it, and Tanner for sure initiates it,
start the trend.
He just touches everyone. He wants to get to know all of his neighbors, and anytime we're camping next to someone, he knows their name, and he's best friends with their dog, and the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. We get the same when I watched that reel, I was like, Andy, you got to watch the reel. Like Tanner does the same thing I'm doing right now.
He gets it.
What would you say is your funniest story from 5 years of living the nomadic life?
Oh my gosh.
There's something that comes to mind when you're like, oh, there was this time. What's your
don't know.
favorite story? What's the moment when you were like, okay, wow, this is actually our life?
I don't know. Mine's I feel like it's the Tetons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think when every morning we'd wake up with the Tetons, like we open up our windows and we're like, dang, we just like pulled our little house out here. We're just like staying at the Tetons.
Yeah, and out in Wyoming, for those of you that haven't been there yet, fantastic national park.
It is our favorite national park. And I feel like that is when we made it there, everyone I feel like has these beautiful photos of the Tetons. And as someone who was starting out as a full-time RVer, getting there just felt like I've made it, like this is it. This is what this life is about. We're camping next to these people. There's this absolutely amazing view of these beautiful mountains, and this is it. And I think every time we go back, we still have that same feeling that wow, we are standing and camping right next to these absolutely breathtaking mountains, and this is our life. Like, we have worked really hard to get here, and we get to enjoy it. And I think that's something that every time we go to the Tetons too, we take a couple days just to take it in, and not go all the time, because we're hikers. So we really like to hike, and I've already got planned like which hikes we're going to do when, how long they're going to be. But when we get to the Tetons, we always take, 2 to 3 days to just sit in their majestic peaks, because they are just breathtaking.
Yeah, because you're just in that valley,
Yep.
and then the Tetons look like they're only like 2 miles away, but really they're like 40 miles away. But they just look so close, and the jaggedness and how tall they are, it's just like she said, so majestic and just breathtaking.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Let me ask you guys this. What do you learn the most about interacting with the older generation that's out here a lot? Like right now for us, there's a couple older couples nearby that we do campfires with and stuff, once a week or so. What would you say you guys have loved learning from that older generation?
Their knowledge.
Yeah,
They have
they have a ton of knowledge, and then a lot of them always say too, like, I wish I would have done this when I was your age.
Yeah.
And so, like,
it kind of solidifies it for us when they do say that, like, okay, we're not making a mistake, that this is okay to do at our age. There's nothing wrong with it. It solidifies it for us when, the older generation that's out camping tells us that, because it's more of a security, I think. And they've got to experience RVing too. So hearing that from them always feels pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. And Andrea and I talk about that a lot. Like, we've not yet come across a couple that said, well, you shouldn't do that now. You should work harder for another 20 years and wait until you're 70 to come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've never done that either.
No, they're all like doing exactly what you said. Like, we wish we'd have started when you are. I don't know if you guys hear it, but we get told all the time, like, wow, you're living the dream when I watch you guys do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do.
And I think for me, what I get when I get to interact with them, one, I'm humbled that they choose to spend their time with us. And two, I see the sense of urgency they're putting into the later stages of their life. And I want to make sure it reminds me to not take advantage of what seems like abundant time that I have right now.
Exactly. That's another thing that we have to remember for ourselves too, is that we need to just take the time to appreciate what we have and what's in front of us at the moment right now too. So Tanner is more of the warrior of us, and I think we both have to learn that too, is that we just need to not take advantage of the time that we do have, because it does seem like it is very abundant right now, but we need to also take a step back, relax, and appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree. What would you guys say to our community, and they're not all RVers, so generally to anybody out there that is searching for purpose in their life, searching for what am I supposed to be doing in my life? What would you say to them on, one, maybe how to find it, or two, how to take steps towards it?
I think it's okay to make mistakes and to do things that let me retract that. So I think it's okay to make mistakes and to try different things to find what your purpose is, or to find, where you think that you belong. I feel like Tanner's a really good example of that, right? You've done a lot in your life.
I've done a lot in my life, but not right.
No. No. He's done a lot of things in his life, and I like, he's been an electrician, he's worked in the oil field, and then none of that really
in the coffee industry.
Yeah, well,
fishing.
Yeah, he's done a little bit of everything, but to finding his purpose of, educating others with RVing and, making, just, I don't know, helping others, I feel like is our overall purpose. And I think that's one of those things that we both have realized, that we knew we wanted a life with more meaning, and where we were in our careers, maybe it wasn't quite fulfilling that. And now that we live in our Airstream and we've been sharing all these things with other people, I feel like that's where our purpose is. And so we've made a lot of mistakes and we've done a lot of different things in our lives, and it's been okay. At the end of the day, we still have those experiences. They're not wasted memories or wasted time or wasted careers. Every single one of them has given us, the knowledge of something else, so that in the end, we get to be where we are. So I think for others out there, not just RVing, but it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to try different things before finding that one thing that, gives you purpose.
I love it. Tanner, you got anything to add to that?
No, I think she nailed it on that. I mean, like she said, I've done a ton of things and worked at different places and this and that. But I think in the end, all of the jobs that I've had, I've been in the coffee industry as well. And then recently I've been working at a fly shop, and I feel like my main purpose is to make people feel welcomed and to serve people and educate people and make them not feel left out. And at the same time, I also get to do something that I enjoy doing, but I'm also educating and helping somebody out with, with whatever they're looking at getting into.
I love it, man. I love it. And for the community out there, one of the big things Nallely and Tanner have said at least twice now through this episode, is don't worry about being perfect. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mistakes are where we learn, and we're in a society now that's so adverse to making a mistake or looking bad that we don't make mistakes, and that is where our greatest growth comes from.
Yes, that's where the reality of us is. We're all human, and social media and the world has just made it seem that if you do make a mistake, you're not worthy, but that is so untrue. I mean, you're right. When we make mistakes, that is exactly where our growth comes from.
I love it. I love it. Where would you guys, as we wrap up this episode, where would you guys like our listeners to connect with you and follow along on the journey that is your life?
We have our Instagram, which is at Essentially Streaming. And we also have a website, so www.essentiallystreaming.com. Those are the most common ways for anyone to get connected with us. We're very active on both of those platforms, our website and our Instagram. So that is one thing that we've also been very cognizant of, is that there are real people out there that do need help. So we do our best to go through all of the messages, all of the comments, and always respond, because that's what we want to do. We want to be able to help people and feel people, and we want them to feel welcomed.
Well, you're gonna go ahead.
And the RV community is growing a lot right now. So we just want to be that consistent place for people to be able to ask questions. So yeah, you can connect with us on those areas, and we will do our best to answer as quickly as possible.
And it doesn't even have to be RV related.
It does not.
So we like coffee. So
yeah, that's true. And you guys are doing a fantastic job, because literally that's how I connected with you. And if I pulled up my Instagram, we probably have a dozen little conversations going back and forth. So I want to say thank you for being responsive to the community you've built and stepping into that place where you are leading people to pursue their dreams.
Well, thank you so much for having us on again. We appreciate it. And we are just small town people that had really big dreams and decided to for it. So we are very humbled by all of this, for sure.
Yeah, we are from pretty small places. I mean, just a little small rural Oklahoma.
It's good with small town people with big time dreams. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us on the episode this week.
Thank you so much, Jerrod. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.